Hello again. So we are on episode number 5, and I'm going to be dealing with this area of my craft room today. And there's just a whole bunch of box card sets, primarily from Hobby Lobby, that I actually need a place for. So I don't want to just throw them all up here and just have this one huge group of just box cards. I do want it to look a bit more aesthetically pleasing, as well as putting other things that I'm really going to use a lot more often. I just need a place to kind of like store a lot of these cards, and what I did was I actually took 1 or 2 sets out from each box. I do have a few of the duplicates in there that I just kind of left alone, but you definitely want to do that, especially if you're going to be using some of these cards, is just go ahead and take out a few and then just work on those. So that's what I did, and what I wanted to do was actually use these as a bit of a storage place for my cards, so when I run out of the ones that I'm working on, I can go back and get it. It's super simple to find. A lot of you are already familiar with this on my channel, but I don't actually use the cards as cards. I like to use them kind of like paper because they all kind of like have the same type of motif, so they match really well. So I do incorporate a lot of these into my actual paper crafting projects. And it is like a huge puzzle trying to fit everything in, trying to maximize as much space as you possibly can. I did have to move everything around multiple times just to kind of figure out how everything was going to fit, because as you can see right here, I am moving a few items into the same area. So you can kind of see right now where I'm going with this. There are going to be a few drawers that I'm going to put in here. I picked mine up a while back, and actually this is what they looked like before. And like I said in episode 1, this really worked for me. I didn't really have that many craft supplies, but then over the years, I just started getting a lot more, and then it just became really unorganized, things on the floor, things still in the shopping bags, and there was so much going on with all the different color palettes and all the different patterns and designs that I just wanted to kind of like keep everything a bit simple and have like just one main color palette, which was like on episode 1. So I'm going to continue on with that. And you can probably see a theme here, working in my craft room. Realize that I really like the drawer concept, being able to just open up a drawer instead of like stacking up little organizers, because that way just open up the drawer and get what I need. And plus I love the plastic drawers because you can actually take all these drawers out completely, put it onto your craft table. This is the small size. You can pick up these small drawers from Target. This is the price that they had online, and it's actually a little bit different than the other set that I have because I didn't realize that it had all this fancy stuff on it. I was really looking for this set right here, and this is the one I picked up from Walmart. Online, they don't actually have, well, they do have this, but I'm not going to post the online price because it's really astronomical and I did not pay that amount for it. But if you want to, you can also look at Hobby Lobby. They have something similar. And I think it's around $6 or so, so that's definitely a lot better in price. So what I did here was I actually just did kind of like the opposite of what I did in episode 2. Instead of putting it on the outside, I put my gold paper on the inside, and that's because the one from Target had all those little fancy things in the front, and I did not want to put vinyl on that. So throughout the years, I have actually filled these drawers with multiple items, being like ephemera. A few had like decorative paper clips in there. I did use some for like my markers and my decorative gel pens. And now I actually want to use them for my jemmies, my little embellies, and I am going to break these up upon different colors so that way I can find it a lot faster. And I do want to say also, when you are creating your craft room, get something that's kind of like a little junk drawer where you put all of your extras in. So I think that's kind of like one reason why my craft room is always like messy, is because I just kind of throw everything in one area and I never ever put it back. But if I have like this little junk drawer right here with all the extras, what I can do is when I'm working on a project and I get a little bit busy, I can put all my extras here, and then later on throughout the week I can just put them back where they belong. And then there's going to be times where there's going to be like a lot of mixtures of different colors. So I just created like a mixed drawer, so that way I know that this has like multiple colors in there, not one specifically. Even though I bought these from 2 separate locations and they are a bit of a different design, what was nice is that they all stacked up regardless. So if you are strapped for space and you need it to be a little bit smaller, you can actually take the little top pieces off and then you can consolidate it. Think of it like stacking Legos. You just actually have to take the top part off and you can stack them up as high as you need them to be. For me, since I'm breaking up into 3 different shelves, I don't need them to be too high. So it's, again, this is just an example, but I'm not going to keep it this way. You will have like some extra pieces that you definitely want to hold on to because maybe later on you'll change your mind and you want to have like 3 separate drawers as opposed to like one huge tower. But it's really nice because, you know, you can put a lot of different things in here. Like I said earlier, think about your ephemera, your markers, things like that. And I'm going to go back to the cards because I think that's really an important subject because I do want to hide a lot of these cards for future use. And I don't want it looking like just like this huge blob of cards. So what I did was I hid a lot of them in the back, and that's because, you know, when I had my drawers, if I pushed my drawers to the very back, there was this huge gap up front. And yes, I could decorate it with little knickknacks, but those sometimes get in the way. Like I did have a really cutesy craft room, and then I thought about, you know what, I need a more functional craft room. So I am redoing a lot of the organization that I already had. And so this was one of them that I had towards the back of my craft room. And it was like I have to move these 3 little tag containers, and then I have to open up this big box just to get to all these little containers. So that's what this whole Wednesday is about, just trying to be more efficient with all of my crafting items and crafting time. This is actually in the back of my craft room, which I definitely will get to eventually as these videos progress. But towards the front of my craft room right here, this is actually the focal point, so that's why I started off with this area. As you can see, I tried to pile as many of these card sets to the back of the bookcase as I possibly could. And so then I was like, okay, I got to this point. I think I'll be able to put my drawers in now. See right here, I tried to fit it in there and I almost got knocked out by a drawer. And that's another thing that you want to also do when you're moving furniture in your craft room, especially if it has drawers. I would just tape it down with some nice safe tape that's not going to rip the paint off, because sometimes, you know, it just kind of flies out without you expecting it. So luckily, you know, the drawer doesn't come out completely, so my face was saved. So there's a piece of that molding at the top of the bookcase, which makes it a lot harder for my little drawers to fit in. But at the same time, it also works out because it keeps all of my drawers inside. So when I pull it out, nothing falls out with it. So it all eventually works out. I just had to kind of push this one to the very top while I slid the bottom one in. And then in the actual bookcase itself, there's just so many different card sets that you can fit. Like this middle one right here, I wanted the cards to be somewhat of a focus. So if I ever forget where I put them, just follow the card trail, right? So I have about 4, 8, 12 card sets right here, and I have more on this side. And then as we get to the other shelves on the bottom, there's more card sets. And then on this shelf right here, it's actually a mixture of cards and ribbon. And I actually did that because in the center right here, I had to actually put the longer card sets. And if I would have put another card set in the back, this would have jutted out a little bit more. So the ribbons were perfect because I can flank them on either side of the cards. And it was just perfect way for me not to waste any room in the back of the cabinet. So I love how this turned out. And we definitely will be addressing this area right here, as well as this area on the side. So it's not finished. I will complete it on the next video because there is a bit of a DIY do-it-yourself project on there, so I hope you guys will stay tuned for that. If you guys are feeling the vibe and you want to be up to date on my next video, please don't forget to hit subscribe. I thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very wonderful day.